Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video of Fox Flicks on Wikizilla. Today we're checking out the history of the Heisei Big G. Let's go.
This video is solely the history section for the Heisei Godzilla Kaiju profile. The roles he plays in the movies he's in are so long and entrenched with their plots that this section needed to be its own video. So, for the King of the Monsters' abilities, origins, and trivia, check out the actual Kaiju profile. The Return of Godzilla.
Alright, here we go. Godzilla
A second
2.
Godzilla appeared 30 years after the original's death following a volcanic eruption at Daikoku Island, first attacking a fish-canning vessel. The lone survivor, Hiroshi Okumura, was rescued and later identified the monster as Godzilla, a fact the Japanese government kept a secret to prevent panic. Meanwhile, Godzilla encountered a Soviet nuclear submarine in the waters off Japan and attacked it, causing the Soviets to believe the Americans were responsible. To prevent nuclear war, Japan revealed that Godzilla had returned. Both the Americans and Soviets demanded that they be allowed to use their nukes against Godzilla, but Japan refused. Still, the Soviets secretly played—
Hold on. Why would they think it's a good idea to use nuclear weapons on a being that is literally powered by nuclear weapons? Yeah, I don't see how that could go wrong. Oh wait, yes I do. Damn it, come on guys.
The controls for a nuclear attack satellite in the cargo ship Balashebo in Tokyo Bay, just in case. One night, Godzilla attacked the Mihama nuclear power plant, and while feeding on the radiation of the reactor, suddenly left, following a flock of birds out to sea, suggesting that Godzilla shared birds' use of magnetic patterns in the atmosphere to navigate, leading to scientist Makoto Hayashida beginning work on a magnetic wave transmitter. However, before the plan to imprison Godzilla in Mount Mihara on Izu Oshima could be completed, the monster appeared in Tokyo Bay. Following the cannons to Shinjuku, Godzilla encountered the Super X, which used flares to distract him and then fired cadmium missiles into his throat. He collapsed once the cadmium slowed down the nuclear reactions in his body, stopping his heart. While the JSDF believed the Monster King was dead, Dr. Hayashida did not. Okamura arrived in a helicopter and airlifted Hayashida and his device to Oshima Island. Meanwhile, the Soviets' nuclear satellite was accidentally triggered when Godzilla destroyed the Balashebo, and a nuclear missile was headed straight for the heart of Tokyo. The Soviets warned the Japanese about the missile, giving the Americans enough time to shoot it down in the skies far above Tokyo.
Damn!
However, the radiation showered down onto Godzilla, reviving him. Godzilla re-engaged and destroyed the Super X, and he continued his rampage until Hayashida activated his device, causing Godzilla to head toward the transmitter. Coming ashore on the island, he climbed to the summit of Mount Mihara, where explosive charges on the volcano were detonated, triggering a controlled eruption and sending Godzilla plummeting into the crater below.
And causing him not to be
Godzilla vs. Biollante.
Until now.
Over 5 years after being imprisoned inside Mount Mihara, Godzilla began to stir within the volcano's crater. The JSTF's anti-Godzilla unit was placed on high alert, while the government, with the help of geneticist Genshiro Shiragami, began work on the anti-nuclear energy bacteria, or ANEB, bacteria engineered from G-cells designed to kill Godzilla by consuming the radiation inside him. Shiragami had accepted for the sole purpose of acquiring G-cells, which he spliced into a rose containing his dead daughter's cells to make it immortal. When a terrorist group learned of the ANEB, however, they placed explosives on Mount Mihara and demanded the ANEB be handed over or else Godzilla would be released. The government complied, but the exchange was sabotaged by a Saradian agent who stole the ANEB. The charge exploded, and Godzilla was released once again. As Godzilla swam toward mainland Japan, the JSDF sent the Super X-2 to engage the Big G, but was quickly forced to retreat due to damage from his atomic breath. Godzilla made his way to Lake Ashi, where Biollante had taken root, and stared at the creature, which attacked him out of panic. Godzilla retaliated and set Biollante aflame, who proceeded to break apart into energy spores and float away, allowing Godzilla to return to the ocean. Later, low on nuclear energy, he searched for a power plant to feed off. Meanwhile, the ANEB was successfully recovered from the Soradia oil office in Osaka, and rockets loaded with ANEB were quickly assembled. The Super X-2 engaged Godzilla but was destroyed, and the Monster King made his way to the city center, where he was injected with ANEB rockets. The next day, Godzilla showed no signs of being affected. The JSDF responded by raising his body temperature with laser beams when he arrived at Wakasa Bay, weakening him. Right then, Biollante's spores rained onto the ground, and soon the plant beast Biollante emerged, destroying all of the JSDF's units and attacking Godzilla. Both monsters were severely wounded, but Biollante's corrosive sap spray raised Godzilla's body temperature even further. As Biollante's spores ascended into the sky, Godzilla collapsed on his way back to the sea. As the tides washed over him, his temperature lowered, and he regained enough strength to go back out to the sea. Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah.
Oh yeah.
The JSCF closely monitored Godzilla over
KG.
the course of 2 years following his encounter with Biollante, but it appeared he was too weak to ever leave the water. One day, a group of time travelers from the 23rd century arrived in the spaceship Mother, claiming that Godzilla would return soon and destroy Japan, and that this could be
Wait a minute, I just thought of something. That anti-nuclear energy bacteria, since it was constantly raising his temperature and he needed to cool down from it, by them trying to kill Godzilla's energy source, all they did was set up the steps for him to become Bonding Godzilla in the final film. Boom! Whoa! Not sure if that's a fan theory or if that's canon in the movies, but let me know down in the comments what y'all think of that. Humans made Bonding Godzilla.
Prevented by erasing Godzilla himself from history. Citing a book written in the future by Kenichiro Terasawa, they offered to travel back to 1944 to teleport away a dinosaur believed to have mutated into Godzilla. The plan was quickly enacted, with Fuchirian Emikano, the cyborg M11, and a few individuals from the present day being sent back in time. Once they arrived, they witnessed the battle between Japanese and American forces. The Godzillasaurus appeared and then fought off the Americans, but was gravely wounded by shells and artillery. After the Japanese soldiers left, the spaceship Kids was used to teleport the Godzillasaurus to the Bering Sea, where they believed it would die, far away from nuclear testing. In the dinosaur's place, Emmy secretly left behind 3 genetically engineered creatures called Dorats. When Kids returned to the present, the Fushirian's leader reported Godzilla had vanished from the Sea of Japan. However, in place of Godzilla, the 3-headed dragon King Ghidorah appeared to terrorize Japan. The Fushirians had used the Castle Bravo test to create Ghidorah and erase Godzilla from history so that he couldn't stop their monster. Meanwhile, Miki Saegusa remarked that she could sense Godzilla moving, something that, along with everyone still remembering Godzilla, suggested that Godzilla hadn't really been erased from history. Thinking that Godzilla was their only defense against King Ghidorah, the Japanese authorities sent a nuclear submarine to the Bering Sea to transform the Godzillasaurus they believed was there into a new Godzilla. Instead, en route to the Bering Sea, the sub found Godzilla, curing his anib infection and causing him to grow to 100 meters in height.
Never mind.
Godzilla came ashore in Hokkaido, prompting the Fuchirians to send King Ghidorah against him. The monsters dueled, and eventually Ghidorah gained the upper hand. Terasawa, Emmy, and a reprogrammed M11 mounted an assault on Mother, destroying the computer controlling King Ghidorah, and allowing Godzilla to take the upper hand and sever King Ghidorah's metal head with his spiral heat ray. Emmy then used Kids to teleport Mother in front of Godzilla, who proceeded to destroy it and the Fuchirians inside it, and then shot down an escaping Ghidorah. The revitalized Godzilla rampaged across Japan. To stop him, Emmy traveled to 2204, recovered King Ghidorah's corpse, and used the technology of her time to transform him into a cyborg, Mecha King Ghidorah. No match for his modified opponents, Godzilla was captured with the Mecha's machine hand. However, while transporting the Monster King, Mecha King Ghidorah had his wings blasted out, and fell into the sea as a result. Emmy escaped from the mech just in time, and returned to the future.
Good job.
Meanwhile,
now get
on
the hell
ocean
out of my
floor,
time.
Godzilla regained consciousness.
God bless it! Oop, ad. We're back.
Godzilla vs. Mothra.
Oh, here
After
we
a
go.
meteor crashed in the Pacific Ocean, it awakened both Godzilla and the dark divine moth, Batra. Godzilla surfaced when Mothra's egg was mid-transportation from Infant Island to Japan. The egg hatched into a larval Mothra which fought Godzilla until Batra arrived and dragged Godzilla to the seafloor. Mid-battle, a volcanic fault opened beneath them and both were pulled into the magma below. Presumed dead, the monster actually simply swam through the molten rock, with Godzilla emerging from Mount Fuji and making his way toward Yokohama. There he found Mothra, now in Imago stage, fighting against an Imago stage Batra. Batra knocked Mothra aside and attacked Godzilla, who easily overpowered him.
If you get the reference,
Mothra and Batra proceeded to join forces against Godzilla. Mothra and Batra's onslaught proved too much for Godzilla, and he was subdued. While being carried out to sea by the moth monsters, Godzilla killed Batra, and they both fell into the ocean. Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2.
That was a short one.
Godzilla appeared at Adonoa Island, where a group of scientists discovered a prehistoric egg guarded by the mutant pteranodon, Rodan. Godzilla attacked Rodan, giving the scientists enough time to escape with the egg. Godzilla blasted Rodan with his atomic breath, seemingly killing him, and he followed the stolen egg back to Kyoto. The egg hatched into a baby Godzillasaurus, named Baby Godzilla by Azusa Gojo, whom it had imprinted upon. As Godzilla approached the
baby
institute housing the
Godzilla.
hatchling, the United Nations formed military task force known as G-Force sent their weapon, Mechagodzilla, to intercept him. After
Send them
Mechagodzilla
out.
knocked Godzilla to the ground with its impressive arsenal, it fired its shock anchor cables into Godzilla to electrocute him. Godzilla managed to reverse the electrical current, causing Mechagodzilla to short-circuit and fall.
Damn, how did he
Godzilla
manage
continued
that?
to Kyoto, but eventually left after he was unable to find the hatchling. Baby Godzilla was kept at G-Force's headquarters, where he was raised and studied. It was soon discovered that Baby possessed a second brain in his hips, which controlled his lower body. From this information, a plan was devised to use Baby to lure the Big G, destroy his second brain, and then kill him with Mechagodzilla. Unable to stop the baby's use
Will
as
it
bait,
work?
Asusa opted to accompany him on the trip to the Ogasawara Islands where the operation would be taking place. En route, the revived Rodan, now Fire Rodan, intercepted the canister holding
cool.
Asusa and Baby. Mechagodzilla and Garuda
How
were
was he
sent in to
revived?
save Baby and Asusa, and apparently killed Rodan. Shortly after, Godzilla appeared and
Apparently
engaged
killed Rodan
Mechagodzilla,
for the
which
second
combined
time.
with Garuda to form Super Mechagodzilla not long after the battle commenced. Super MG fired its shock anchor cables directly at his hips, and discharged electricity until the Monster King's second brain was burst. Before the mech could kill Godzilla, however,
Damn.
Baby escaped from his canister and called out to the mortally wounded Fire Rodan, who flew over but was shot down by Mechagodzilla's Mega Buster. Rodan fell onto Godzilla
Aha,
and
that was
vanished
the
after
plan,
giving up
you
his
idiot.
life force, reconstituting Godzilla's second brain. Revitalized, the Monster King rose and fired his new uranium atomic heat ray at Mechagodzilla several times, destroying it.
And each time it was just getting hotter and
Godzilla
hotter.
approached Baby, who cowered in fear. Miki Saigusa used her telepathy to tell Baby to go with Godzilla, and both he and his new adoptive father headed out to the ocean.
What do you mean adoptive father?
Godzilla vs. Space
No,
Godzilla.
legit. What do you mean adoptive
Godzilla
father?
had taken partial residence on Birth Island, where his adoptive son, now 30 meters tall and dubbed Little Godzilla, spent all of his time. When extraterrestrial clone Space Godzilla arrived and began attacking Little Godzilla, the king of the monsters
damn.
came ashore and confronted the invader to defend his son. However, Space Godzilla proved too powerful and encased Little G in crystals before leaving. Enraged, Godzilla chased Space Godzilla back to Japan, eventually reaching Kumamoto. There he had a brief encounter with Mogura, after a rogue pilot diverted the mech's
boy.
path from Space Godzilla to Godzilla. After the pilot was subdued by the co-pilots, Mogura
Wait,
headed
how-
to
what
Fukuoka
the-
to fight Space
Did-
Godzilla.
He
Godzilla
just grabbed
eventually
the guy's
arrived
arm.
and
How
fought
did
his
that
clone,
knock him out?
but was overpowered. Soon, the Monster King realized that Space Godzilla was drawing most of his energy from the surrounding crystal spires and the Fukuoka Tower, which the Space Beast had instilled with cosmic energy. Godzilla and Mogura, now split into Star Falcon and Land Mogura, joined forces to
Land
destroy
Mogura
the
and
crystals and
Falcon.
bring down the
Huh.
tower. When the
That's
tower was
cool.
destroyed, Space Godzilla's power was drastically cut, allowing the Big G to put on a better fight. Mogura recombined and blew up Space Godzilla's shoulder crystals,
I
making
didn't
him
know
unable
Mogura
to control
could,
his energy.
separate.
The space monster retaliated by destroying Mogura. Godzilla proceeded to destroy Space Godzilla with his nuclear fusion heat ray, freeing Little Godzilla back on Birth Island. Godzilla swam out to
Okay,
sea,
that was actually kind of
intent
cute.
on returning to his
Little
son.
Godzilla used the bubble beam.
Godzilla vs. Destroyer.
Alright, here we go. The
In
final movie of the
1996, a
Heisei.
nuclear reactor in Godzilla's heart ignited uranium deposits on Birth Island, causing the island to explode. Nowhere to be seen, Little Godzilla is presumed dead. Godzilla, now covered in glowing orange rashes and dubbed Burning Godzilla, resurfaced in Hong Kong and destroyed the city before disappearing. G-Force would soon realize that Godzilla's new look was a
Oh,
result
boy.
of the Birth Island explosion, and that the nuclear fission in the Monster King's heart would cause him to explode, igniting the atmosphere and vaporizing the Earth. Without the Oxygen
there goes
Destroyer,
everything.
the only weapon that could kill Godzilla, and knowing that a direct attack on the Big G would cause him to explode, G-Force turned to the Super X3, armed with cadmium shells and freezer weapons. As
Super
Godzilla reached the
X3!
Bungo Channel, the X3 successfully lowered his temperature,
Yes.
encasing him in ice. As Godzilla
You did
thawed,
good.
the fission in his heart appeared to be reducing. After, Little Godzilla, now a sub-adult and dubbed Godzilla Jr., was found heading to his nest over on Adonoa Island. G-Force then learned that while Godzilla's fission had been brought under control, his reactor heart was overheating. This would lead
Oh,
to a
boy.
nuclear meltdown, wherein Godzilla's heart would burn down to the Earth's core and destroy the planet in less than a week. After it was
That
learned that
ain't good.
Godzilla was following his son, a plan was devised to lure Junior to Tokyo, where the oxygen destroyer kaiju Destoroyah was, and have the crustacean kill Godzilla. Miki Saigusa reluctantly used telepathy to change Junior's course to Tokyo. When Godzilla appeared in Tokyo Bay, a new plan was
Where's
proposed to
my
use freezer
son?
weapons to freeze Godzilla as he melted down to minimize damage, which would occur once Godzilla's core temperature reached 1200 degrees Celsius.
Oh boy.
As Godzilla and Junior reunited near Haneda Airport, Destoroyah appeared in his perfect form and killed Junior. Saddened, Godzilla became determined to avenge his son and confronted Destoroyah. The monsters
You lay a
traded
hand on my
blows,
son,
eventually
I'll
ending
kill
with
ya.
Godzilla firing into Destoroyah's
I'll
exposed,
destroy ya.
wounded chest. This
Fun,
forced
get it.
Destoroyah to split apart into multiple aggregates which swarmed the Monster King, but were defeated by a nuclear pulse. As his temperature climbed, Godzilla approached his fallen son and revived him only long enough for him to stare up at his father. As Godzilla grieved, Destoroyah reformed in his perfect form and grabbed Godzilla by the neck,
Round two.
dragging him out to the outskirts of the city. He got back on his feet and approached Destoroyah, ready for one final confrontation. Godzilla's temperature began to climb to critical levels, and his dorsal
boy.
plates began melting. Giving off waves of immense heat which set the surrounding areas ablaze, Godzilla fired his infinite heat ray at Destoroyah, mortally
Guy's
wounding the
full on
crustacean.
melting.
Before Destoroyah could fly away, G-Force opened fire with their freezer weapons,
Suck on this!
shredding the monster's wings, causing him to hit the ground and vaporize. With
Suck.
Destoroyah dead,
Popsicle
Godzilla
bean.
stood silently, ready to die in peace. G-Force opened fire on Godzilla with all their freezer weapons as he melted down. Finally, Godzilla's heart burst, and his outer body and skeleton melted away.
And
G-Force
died.
prevented the destruction of the planet, but could do nothing to contain the catastrophic amounts of radiation pouring out from Godzilla. Just when it
But
appeared
you
Tokyo
got
would
to
be rendered
remember-
uninhabitable, all the radiation vanished. Godzilla Jr. was visible through the smoke, revived and transformed into a new Godzilla.
into
And
the
that's
film
Godzilla's history
Godzilla.
across the Heisei series. Please watch the actual kaiju profile now if you haven't already. See ya!
Alright folks, and with that, that is where we're going to end off today's video. So, I want you all to remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Down in the description will be a link to the original video, so remember to support the original creator and all they do. And the next kaiju profile we flick on will be the last. Not because I'm done with Wikizilla, but just because I'm finishing off that list I got from my friend. So, until then, this has been Fox. Thank you for watching. Peace out.